back in 1976. Mass immunization was ordered, okay? So everyone had to get this, the flu shot, and what came out of it? More people ended up dying from the flu vaccine. 25 people died of the flu vaccine, only one person died of the actual swine flu back then. And then they said that over 500,000 ended up with Guillain-Barré syndrome. You guys know what Guillain-Barré syndrome is? If you had Guillain-Barré syndrome, they would think you had a stroke. Okay, you get peristalgia, you get all numbness, tingling, you lose your extremities. So what it does is it attacks the lining of the nerves. You're unable to activate the muscles. Causes paralysis into your hands and feet, and that is caused by the paralysis because it decreases your respiratory, causing the victim to suffocate. So this is Guillain-Barré syndrome. So just to let you know, they're already watching for this Guillain-Barré syndrome to hit, because what they ended up doing is they pulled this vaccine off the market back in 1976 in 10 weeks because they had so many people getting this Guillain-Barré syndrome that it cost the government millions. And so they're already testing this vaccine right now, currently, in England, and they're already seeing that it's showing up Guillain-Barré. But are they telling us this as they're sending these notes home with you guys? No. And so Guillain-Barré syndrome, this is something that is permanent. So you guys have to understand that. When you get Guillain-Barré syndrome, I mean, it's very, very difficult to fight off. And so this is what's linked to these vaccines, which has already been proven back in 1976. And so it was withdrawn after 10 weeks when the Guillain-Barré syndrome was clearly linked. And so we can go on and on about the vaccine. This is a video here of about the people who actually have came up with this vaccine, the new vaccine. They're saying that they won't even take it. So this is a quick 4-minute video.
Now let's cross stateside, and the US has started to test a swine flu vaccine on children and adults. The US Department of Health and Human Services hopes to vaccinate at least 160 million people by December. Well, for more on this, let's cross to our correspondent Priya Sridhar, who's in our Washington studio for us. Hello to you, Priya. So what are the hopes for this new vaccine?
Thanks. Well, the swine flu vaccine has raised concerns with people across the world. A new survey shows that 1/3 of British nurses have said that they will not take the swine flu vaccine because they're worried about the possible side effects. Now, the swine flu vaccine from back in the 1970s, which is supposed to be pretty similar to the one that's being offered today, has been linked to a neurological disorder called the Guillain-Barré syndrome. And joining me to discuss all of this is RT contributor and investigative journalist Wayne Madsen. Wayne, thanks so much for joining me. First of all, can you tell me who has taken the swine flu vaccine so far, and what have you heard about it?
Well, apparently there has been a test community used already. We're also hearing that the vaccine that's being developed, they're saying it's not for everyone. Apparently children were used as, for lack of a better term, guinea pigs in Oklahoma. I know from talking to people in the research community, even scientists who helped develop the vaccine for smallpox are saying they're not going to take the vaccine and urging their friends and family not to take this vaccine either.
And what kind of side effects did these children have, if any?
Well, contained in the vaccine is a component called thimerosal, which has been proven, half of it is composed of mercury, and it's been proven to cause not only Guillain-Barré syndrome, but also autism in young children. There's been several court cases because of past vaccinations due to the autism issue.
And so how will the swine flu vaccine be offered? Will it be mandatory for people? What have you heard about that?
Well, there was a conference here in Washington last week where we have two themes present. We have the research community, the medical community, saying, look, what we need to provide the public is good information and let them make the decision based on facts. We have the emergency community, the Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management Agency people talking about forced vaccinations, forced quarantines, basically the politicians running the show instead of the people who are from the medical community and know much better about the threat of this particular influenza.
And so how effective would a vaccine be if the majority of people decide not to take it?
Well, for those who take it, of course, they can limit their exposure to others. But what we're basically hearing is there's a anti-vaccine movement now starting across America. As one person said from the public health community, said these people are revving up, almost like this is the enemy, and not they're going to invoke all these various protocols for emergency situations, treating these people who don't want to take the vaccine. Forcing children as a predicate to enroll in school, for example, to take the vaccine is going to cause quite a few problems here amongst the public in the United States.
And how much testing was actually done on this vaccine? How come we weren't able to find one that would, not have all these side effects?
Well, the testing, we're hearing, of course, there may be a recommendation for 3 vaccinations, 2 for the swine flu, 1 for the regular seasonal flu. But we all know about the side effects from 1975 and 76, and therefore this vaccine, even amongst people who work in the medical community, is not considered safe.
And when are these decisions likely to happen? When will they decide if this will be mandatory or not?
We're hearing that this second wave of the flu for the Northern Hemisphere will strike sometime at the end of September and reach peak in October, possibly. This is actually what happened with the 1918 flu. First cases in September, peaked in October, ebbed off in November. So we'll probably see this vaccination program come into full effect next month.
Well, as we get closer to the deadline that they're supposed to be offering these swine flu vaccines, we'll be sure to keep you updated on anything we hear about it. But for now, back to you in Moscow.
All right, Priya, many thanks to you and your guests.
And so what is it that we need to do, right? Because that's the question. Everyone wants to know. What do we need to do? Well, what about Tamiflu? What do you guys think of Tamiflu? That's what they're telling us, Tamiflu, right? I mean, just in case, if your kids do get Tamiflu. Half of kids given Tamiflu drug have side effects. And so, taking Tamiflu, most common side effect for Tamiflu was nausea. Stomach pains, cramps. 20% of children tested had problems sleeping. Psychiatric side effects, inability to think clearly, nightmares, behaving strangely. It's already been banned in Japan. So Tamiflu is not a go either, okay guys? So Tamiflu is not the answer. And so if you think about the side effects from Tamiflu, they said it's kind of scary that the sound effects sound like the flu: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, headaches, dizziness, fatigue, cough. So I would take my chances with the flu other than Tamiflu, okay? So Tamiflu is not the answer either. And so what do we need to do for protection? Okay, this is where common sense comes in, guys. Okay, common sense. This isn't my research. This is all over everywhere. That number one, you have to avoid the sugars. These sugars are an immunodepressant, okay? So basically, what do you guys think of when you think of sugars? You think of sweets. You think of cakes and cookies and stuff like that. Actually, that's like very little have to do with your sugar intake. What you need to know is sugars are coming in the form of carbohydrates. They're coming from breads, pastas, oatmeals. Everything is made of sugar. If you walk up and down the aisles of grocery stores, you're eating sugar. Okay, so you have to decrease your sugar intake immediately. Okay, 7.5 hours of sleep is what you're going to be needing. So right now I'm fighting this cold. I've been getting a little bit more sleep. All I do is either sleep and work. So right now, sleep is good for me. That's when my body's going to fight all my bacteria, all my viruses, all my cancers. So the number one thing is you have to get sleep. Yes?
I want to know what is it with refined sugars that's bad?
It overstimulates your immune system. White things, I mean, the body just doesn't recognize it. It starts fighting it. So right away, like when your children stop doing breast milk, well, we're the only mammal in history that goes from the boob to a Cheerio. And then you wonder why your kids start getting all this mucus production. Listen, your body was never created to break down man-made sugars, man-made chemicals that are in Cheerios, so that's what it happens. It starts activating the immune system. which actually is a good thing, but when you overstimulate the immune system nonstop, your body's just going to be completely dampened. You understand? So for me right now, I know I got to get rid of the sugars. Even all of our fruits are nothing but sugar. And so I'm even avoiding